go. You're on.
All right.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? I don't think that one's on. The last one.
Which
I
one?
don't think it's on. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. It's Friday again, and we're here again with a new guest. So thank you for joining us. If you don't know the drill, basically, if you want to ask any questions, please put it into the comments, and we will answer them. I will look at them on my other phone here and can answer you. So today, well, you know my co-host is Greg over
Hi,
there.
everyone.
And today we have with us Haley Brown with Her Money Prospers. Say that
Hi
right?
everyone. Yep, Her Money Prospers.
So Haley, tell us what your business is.
Yeah, so I am a personal finance coach. I help teach people, primarily women, how to improve and gain confidence and understanding in their personal finances. Usually that kind of ranges from folks that are looking to get out of debt, folks that are looking to sometimes invest for the very first time, or just understand all these different accounts and how to start making your money work for you a little bit more. And oftentimes helping people get to a point where they can start managing their own finance with a positive net worth, sometimes for the first time in their lives.
How'd you come up with the name for it?
I had a lovely group of friends. So I have been doing this not as a formal business for quite a long time, probably for about 13-ish years at this point.
Wow.
So I have a lot of friends, friends of friends, friends of family, that over the years I've kind of become the person that everyone goes to for like finance advice. And I kind of use them as a little bit of a test bed for different names and ideas. And a lot of what I do, and I guess my brand now is created based on some of the stuff that was invoked for them when I worked with them.
Was this your goal originally, and is this what you set out to do?
Not at all.
What happened? What were you originally going to do?
So I have a full-time day job.
Oh.
And this is something that's just been a side passion for such a long time that I've had people say, you really actually got to do this. So I started formalizing it a little bit more almost 3 years ago as the business that I do after my 9 to 5 ends. And it's brought me like a lot of joy, but the journey really started for me in my own finances many, many years ago. And a lot of the learnings I had out of those is what I utilize from my experience and the knowledge that I've gained in my own journey to kind of help other people fast track theirs.
So, what's your day job?
Up
Just
to you.
curious.
You don't have
I'm
to-
curious.
Yeah, I do like operations strategy and operations work in my day job.
Okay.
Okay, so like operations of a business.
Of a business, like corporate program management.
Okay.
So it's all legal. I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so if someone comes to you and says, I really need to get out of debt and I have too many credit card bills and I'm not making ends meet, what are you going to tell them? How are you going to help them?
All the different things. So it
Besides
sounds
cutting
counterintuitive. I usually don't tell people to cut their cards up. Some schools of thinking would say so. It seems counterintuitive, but where I start with most of my clients is almost taking a couple steps back in order to move forward.
Okay.
Usually what that means, almost for any state that you're in, you can be in a state where you're pretty good with money. I have clients like that they make a lot of money, or they make good money, or they just don't see themselves getting forward where they think they should be with their peers. So sometimes people don't come to me when they're in debt either, more just looking how to grow their money.
Okay.
Sometimes people come to me when they're in debt. Ironically, both of those things have the same starting point, which is, where are you trying to get? What's your goals? Why do you want to change? What are you trying to do with money? And secondly, an understanding of what you are currently doing with money to create the plan that needs to be adapted for your situation.
Yeah, because everyone's finances
They're all
are different.
When do they know that they need to come to you? What shape are they in? I usually show that to your stuff.
Truthfully, a lot of different arenas, and I think it all comes back to personal finance is very personal.
Sure.
Some people come to me when they've literally hit their rock bottom and they really don't know how to move forward at all. Some people come to me because they have been interested in personal finance to an extent, or like I can figure this out, or I cannot use my cards, or I'll cut up my cards, or I'll freeze my cards in water and then like freeze them so I can't actually use them, which I've heard someone use as a tactic before, and I'm like, what?
Freeze your account. Right?
But what's really interesting about that is some people come to me having kind of tried and failed themselves and not really having the clear sense of like, but I've done that already. Nothing's working for me. And then some people come to me simply because they're actually doing okay, but they want to be doing better than okay, and they really want to be getting to a place where they're thinking about their future more, not just that they're okay in the
So they need
present.
to manage their money better, obviously, and that's what they're looking at.
Yeah.
Good.
I have cut up cards for friends, or taken their cards for
You
them.
ever frozen one?
Yeah, I had roommates that had like issues with, paying their bills and everything, and then they were like, well, you're managing yours fine, so I was like, okay, what are you spending your money on? And, it was drastic. That's why I asked that question.
And sometimes it does need to be drastic. Being willing to make the change is definitely a part of it.
Yes.
And some people need either kicking themselves in their own pants or a friend to perhaps provide that service for them.
Or you.
Or me.
Yeah.
But what I try to focus on teaching people is how to create sustainable change that they can eventually manage on their own and carry forward without feeling like they're being set up to fail. So I have a personal belief with, say, credit cards, that in this day age, in the society that we actually live in, if you're not going to choose to live under a rock or in a bubble, you're going to need to learn to use credit cards in a responsible way.
Well, yeah, especially because our society is so, we don't want cash that much anymore.
Less and less.
Less and less, and so you do have to manage that so much. Hi Kelly and hi Caroline, thanks for watching, you guys. If you want to put your questions into the comments, that would be great. Because things are revolving and changing into more of a cashless, business, I guess model. I'm not really happy about it, but in this situation, do people still manage their bank accounts? I know checking is obsolete too. Who writes a check anymore? So do people actually balance their statements and do all that? Because I feel like it's not happening.
It's so interesting. I remember being very young, and there's a lot in what brought me to this point in my journey that came from what my parents were able to teach me, as well as what my parents maybe didn't know themselves to teach me also. But in what my parents taught me, I do remember my mom teaching me how to balance a checkbook, and the fact that in my adult life, there's been so little times that's actually needed to happen, because even out of college for me, a check, when it still existed, still had so many alternate ways that people were paying, that was only a very small sliver that you were balancing.
Yeah, you very seldom see the actual check itself.
And now, it is to the point where I actually did write a check 3 weeks ago, but before that, I probably had gone about 2.5 years without writing a check myself. So yes, people don't, when we say balance the checkbook, when that's the way we pay for everything, people don't balance their digital online statements, which now are a myriad of different things that you have to puzzle together. You have your actual bank account, you have potentially multiple credit cards, you now have Venmo or your PayPal. Apple Pay, I think, will still sync to your bank debit card.
Right.
So it comes up on your bank statement.
Yeah.
But Venmo is
Still,
a super
what you're
transaction.
talking about, when you say balancing, it's reconciliation of your finances.
And most
What you
people don't
use.
reconcile it.
Yeah, and also people think that the banks don't make a mistake and that's what they have, but they do make a mistake. So you should really look at your statements, but that's just me.
Not only can they make a mistake, but in no one looking at those things, there are small things that can, well, small and big things, but there are things that can be easily overlooked that can also affect your credit. There could be a certain level of fraud that you're not noticing if you're not checking your own accounts.
Right.
And I don't think people are trained to do that the same way as my mom teaching me this is how you balance a checkbook. Like there's not like a specific like, let's go over your statements every month and this is how you should reconcile.
Right.
That's not really being taught. But also, it's not just one thing. Most people have 4, 5, 6, 7 places that they now have to pull together and reconcile.
True, very true. We do have some questions. So one of the questions is, do you advise people to look into reverse mortgages, or isn't that something you're involved with?
Not something that I'm involved with. As a financial coach, I really work in the space of bringing financial literacy, so kind of the basics of understanding your finances, and then also the step forward that you take from literacy is action. How do you put it into action, and how do you have, like me, or whoever you have in your life as an accountability coach, as a partner? How many times have we gotten the knowledge to do something, and yet we still can't really execute it? So I'm the person that follows people along with their roadmap, with their journey to help enable them. In terms of reverse mortgages or anything like that, that would fall more under a mortgage lender. I know we have many in the CC Biz group, or a financial advisor.
Okay. But it could be an option for some people. Thank you for that question, Vicki. Next question I have is, what is good advice for someone who has saved $100,000 and it is sitting in a savings account earning low interest?
Ooh, that's ouchie. $100,000 is such a huge benchmark. There's a lot of notions around your first $100,000 being the absolute most excruciating process to get because it happens so slowly. If you actually have $100,000 sitting in a savings account, you're really losing money on it. That's your opportunity to learn how you should be investing. And I usually suggest for people to understand their priorities, their risk tolerance, and how they can start investing on their own. But that's also a really good sized nest egg where you might be at the minimums for a lot of very good financial advisors. If you don't want to learn that process yourself and you want to have somebody else handling and managing that money and building a portfolio for you.
Okay. Good answer. Thank you. Did you have something?
What is the most common issue you think with people today? I know there's pretty some.
I mean, I have a lot of issues with people.
We all
The
do.
common issue with people.
Yeah,
With finances. Oh, okay. Good clarification. No, it's really interesting. I think it's more of like a human nature answer, which is sometimes we get in our own way so much, and at the same time we either don't have the perspective to see it, or we don't understand like the positive return on investment that we can have by getting someone who knows more to help give us kind of like what I do as a financial coach is give people a couple laps head start. It's not that people can't get there themselves. It's not that a lot of what I teach isn't already on the internet. It's that in society today, having that stuff on the internet, you get overwhelmed and everyone's saying it a little bit differently, and then you're not sure who to trust and what information's right and what information's wrong, and you can't synthesize that much data. And then even when you do have a clear plan with the best intentions, the first second that we as humans hit anything where we get scared, or oh gosh, I haven't done that before, or oh wait, I'm not sure, or are there other options, what do? We put it off, we stop, we get in our own way.
I think the internet could totally confuse people, probably better to not go there.
You're better to talk to a person, I think,
Yeah.
than yourself, to get actual advice and not read and try to figure it out that way.
And we think about that very clearly if I mean, I have no athleticism whatsoever, so this is actually a really poor example for me, but, right, if you're really good in a specific sport, it's very commonplace that you're going to have a coach. It's very commonplace that you're going to end up with a team of coaches that are very specialized if you're going to, go to the Olympics or make it big time. But it's not so commonplace for some of these smaller things that, I don't know, in one way or another could be considered life skills and things that we weren't properly taught in school or things that we didn't have people to mentor to us, which could be things like personal finance as one of many examples that I think falls into that category. But what's really sad about that is our finances and our money is the core to almost everything that we want to do in this world. So why are we not being taught about that and given that information in an empowering way where we feel like we can think confidently about our money and not feel like we're shaking in our boots or doing something wrong?
Usually it takes somebody to get in trouble before they figure out they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's not good. They should start it in high school in some form.
Yeah.
Because when you're out of high school, you suddenly go alone and you get your first check, and it's like, you don't really know. It's great, I can spend all this, but you really don't know what's ahead of you that way. Definitely, they need to start earlier.
I watch a lot of videos, and they come up on your feed so much now. It's like, it's crazy. But I got one the other day where it was a couple, and it was an age difference couple, and the husband was obviously older, and he said, "I'm going to teach you how to balance your checkbook." And he was showing how you go and buy something for $200, but you only have $100 in your bank account.
Yeah.
So this is why you need to reconcile your statement, and it's very important. And I really wish that they did teach that in high school. They did. They never taught
No,
it.
not even close.
I taught it to my kids when they were about 15. I got them a checking account and taught it to them. But I'm sure that they probably don't do it like almost every young person doesn't do that anymore. So it's a whole different way of doing things nowadays. What would you say to someone who is like a young person, maybe in their 20s, 30s, and is looking to grow their future? So they have a good job, maybe they even have their own business, but they want to start thinking about their future. Should they invest in a IRA or a 401k? At what age should you start all that?
What's the number one thing to start with?
Yeah.
Start as early as you possibly can. So maybe to that specific end, I would say, parents, get your kids in these courses. When your kids are maybe taking out their first potentially student loans or about to graduate college and getting their first jobs where they're going to have an income, and to your guys' point, different as they start earning income, having different retirement accounts, different work benefit accounts available to them as vehicles to grow wealth. Invest in a coach for them. That's a great gift to help them set up from the very time that they're starting to really earn serious income and start off with the right foot ahead of the other and carving that path as early as possible. The biggest thing in people's ability to grow and create wealth is time. The more time you can give yourself, truly, even a couple years more than someone else, gives you a really, really big advantage with the way that time works with compounding interest.
Okay.
In terms of the priority of different types of accounts or things you would tell people to invest in, I really want to caveat that there are so many intricacies with what is available in terms of accounts for different people in different situations, but the kind of more traditional in order of operations with personal finance investing is if you have access to a 401k and you have gift matching through your employer, you maximize the entire amount that you can have matched because that's free money. Then it would be your Roth IRA, and that's something that for 2025, I want to say it's $7,000 maximum, $8,000 if you're over the age of 50 as catch-up contributions. But there is income limits to that. That's not for everybody. So there are ways that you have to approach that to make sure it is legally a fit for your situation. But that is money that can grow tax-free because you pay for it without after-tax dollars. Then you want to maximize the rest of your 401k benefit by then trying to max out your 401k. Then you would follow with an HSA. And then finally, you would start adding in taxable brokerages or other different types of investment accounts as would be applicable or interesting to you.
Okay. Thanks for all that are joining. I see more of you have joined here. I appreciate the follows here. Could you please ask questions in the comments? And we are talking to Haley Brown today, and we're talking about personal finances. So one other thing that we didn't touch on as far as growing your wealth is real estate. So what's your advice on buying something either to live in or to rent out or even out of state?
I am still going to go back to a cornerstone of before you make any of the decisions of what's right or wrong for you, to have a full financial assessment and actually understand what your personal financial situation is, because that makes the possibility of buying property different for different people. Buying property, and we have a lot of really, really great realtors in the Culver City Biz group, so please go check them out if that's something that you're interested in, and get their expertise on the market too. But most of the realtors in our group would probably tell you if you're considering investing in property, that's something that you want to make sure you very, very much can own and understand the expectations of maintenance, of taxes, of things that aren't necessarily in the dollars that you're getting when you're getting your mortgage and your lending approvals. But real estate is a really great investment. I started doing most of my personal finance without the opportunity or the financial nest egg it required to be able to purchase real estate. But I did purchase my first real estate in the last few years as a personal home, and that's already appreciated in value a ton. I would say that I am a personal believer in having a diversified portfolio, so real estate is only a portion of the investments that I hold for that reason.
But it's a good investment, definitely. Hi, Rick. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Did you have a question?
No, good.
Well, so if you could afford to buy a house today, but you couldn't buy here in LA, would you still advise people to buy out of state?
Most of the people that I'm working with are hitting like positive net worth for the first times in their life. So most people that I work with in my clientele are not in that position. I think it ends up being a personal preference. What else have they built in their portfolio that will make that diversified, and what are their intentions? And then I would probably talk to someone that's specializing in that area to understand kind of the microeconomics of that space. For instance, are they looking to buy and hold? Are they looking to flip something and try to turn a quick profit? Do they have the right people? Do they have the time, desire to get into the nitty-gritty aspects of that to make it successful? Are they looking to potentially rent that and get rental income? And those are all going to have to be different analyses that are done to determine for that specific area, for let's say a rental or how something would flip, what that would look like, what local taxes in that area look like. So I would say it's highly independent.
I mean, you could buy a house in Arizona much cheaper than you can here.
That's what I
Absolutely.
The problem is, what's it going to be worth in 5 years versus a house here, right? So
Traditionally appreciates, doesn't appreciate as at fast of a rate, and traditionally doesn't get the types of rents that we might see in the neighborhood right now.
Rent is much cheaper as well. So
But your mortgages as well. So it's very important to still look at the numbers and run those numbers and make sure it's profitable for the situation you're looking to use it for.
And it makes sense. Like, hopefully it makes sense for you to do that, A lot of people do it as rental, a lot of people do it as Airbnb. So there's a lot of different options nowadays where we didn't have a lot of that before, So I do think that for young people who are saving money, maybe living at home, and also things have changed for us since the pandemic. We have a lot of more remote workers, And so you can live anywhere and work anywhere, and so that has changed how we live now, and where we work.
It totally has, and there's so many good investments out there. I don't even have all of the types of investments in my portfolio because there's so many different ways to make money now. I also know people who are very successful and doing very well in establishing and building their growth completely without real estate, and they still, like, to the degree that they themselves still rent. So I think you can find success in a lot of the different methods, but you have to find what works for you and your priorities.
And like we said before, finances are very personal, and each one is different than the next one. So we're not doing like a cookie cutter answer for you guys. But how do they find you?
Oh, how do you guys find me? You can find me on Instagram at Her Money Prospers, and you can find me on my website, hermoneyprospers.com.
Okay, let's see if I have any questions. Go ahead.
No, good.
No, you go ahead. I'm looking to see if there's any other questions.
All right. How does this doesn't interfere with your other job, right? I mean, you're able to work full-time and still do all of this? Well, I mean, it's a lot of work.
Right now I do one-to-one coaching primarily, so very like high impact, highly personalized to those individuals to help them move forward on a cadence that works for them. Usually I have a few different 90-day packages depending on where people are, for people that are really wanting to get in and create change and either getting out of debt or learning to invest. And I also, for people who just kind of want like the head start of figuring out their finances and someone to sit down and do it with, I have like a financial jumpstart package, which is like, let's sit down and go through a full financial assessment and build a high-level roadmap that you yourself can follow. And then I have a lot of continuing clients that I do one-to-one sessions on that, as seasons change, as their situations change, we can jump in and do. Eventually I might scale with more of a group coaching style session in addition. I don't have that ready yet, and I do have to make sure that that's something I can scale to and provide the right level of time and the right quality of service in order to do. But that would be less on the kind of customized to you and your situation and a little heavier on the traditional, generalized financial literacy aspects.
Okay. How long does the average client stay with you? You mentioned eventually they learn on their own.
Let's see. I've had, it very much is who that person is. I've had people stick with me, I would say on average about a year to 2 years. Some people much longer, and some people as short as probably a 3 to 6 month program.
So I have a couple more questions here. People are asking. The first one says, do many people in their 20s come to you, or is it mostly older people?
That's a great question.
Thanks, Vicki, for that question.
That's a really good question. I've had college-age students in their 20s kind of come to me, kind of at post-college, just starting young professional in their career. Sometimes that's very eager, proactive post-college students. More often, it's their parents. In those that are kind of purchasing packages for themselves, it tends to be 30s through 50s that I work with.
Okay.
The most.
Next question I have is from Tiffany. What does the financial jumpstart cost?
The financial jumpstart, I don't know what the cost is on the top of my head. I want to say it's $597, and that includes a kind of prep information that I walk with you through. That includes the session itself, which is a 90-minute coaching session. And that includes me customizing after that session your actual customized roadmap and questions and answers following on dialing that in for you to follow.
Okay. That's the questions that I have. And we did give her a website, right?
hermoneyprospers.com.
And we'll put that in the comments later too. So, but keep them coming. Keep your questions coming. Let's see what else we got here. Do this is from Angela's, do you offer consultation online or just in person, asking for someone who lives out of state?
Yes, so I provide services to anyone in the U.S. That's mostly in terms of knowledge of the accounts that we have in the U.S. What I am most familiar with, and all my services are actually in Zoom and not in person unless you live really close to me. I can make a few case-by-case exceptions, but all on Zoom. So they could be in Jersey or Texas.
You know, you could do business anywhere. It's great. Thank you for that question. We appreciate it. Keep them coming. That's what I got so far right now. And yeah, that's what I got so far.
You ever set up a portfolio for somebody and they're doing great, and all of a sudden you find something that's much better? You go back and tell that person, hey, maybe you want to do this instead of what you're doing now?
So I don't manage portfolios for people as a financial coach, but yes, in terms of one of the first steps I do with any of my packages is going to be a deep dive financial assessment. So we actually are going to go through the dirty laundry that you might not ever want to go through yourself or might have been putting off for, we'll say till tomorrow, but we know for most that's actually next week, next month, next year. In terms of actually uncovering that is really hard. And we were talking about it's more challenging to reconcile, like the dollars and cents, and that we need to teach it. And that's all true, but there's also a really big emotional element to having to go through that on your own. So I help people actually dig through and do a full financial assessment that does reconcile their last 2 to 3 months usually, so that we have real data points to build what they should be doing for themselves based off of their actual habits, the things that align, their actual goals, so we create something that's customized to what they end up needing.
Okay. We have another question for you. Do you have to be licensed or certified to perform your services?
No, as a financial coach, I do not need to carry any licenses or be certified.
Oh, okay. And everything so far that you're doing, is it something that you were taught in school? Was it part of your major? Or is it self-taught?
Self-taught. I studied nonprofit management in school and business. I fell into finances, one, because I had a very prudent father who taught me from a very, very young age how important savings was. And I think that that's something that kind of he really wanted to pass along to me, coming from a much lower income, lower middle income family, to be able to get maybe to a different place than he was able to. The irony in all of that is that while he learned to save a lot of money, there was an earlier question we had about what if you have all that money saved in a savings account that's making no interest? Because that's all he knew. I went off to when I went off to college, I kind of just self-discovered that I had a knack as I was pulling out all of these crazy student loans for understanding, let me read these contracts and what does that mean and what does interest mean, and truly figuring out for myself, holy cow, if I don't pay this stuff off, I'm never going to get out of this student loan debt. And I actually started paying off my student loans while I was in college, working with side jobs. And I was one of the only people I knew that was doing that, and most people thought all my peers thought I was crazy because they were going out and spending money on clothes and bars and other things. And then that eventually brought me to an opportunity with my business school where I was able to meet Warren Buffett. And that ended up being a really core experience for young Haley to go into and be like, whoa, this person is so cool. And I kind of just followed a lot of his practices, teachings, his book clubs, and learned a lot myself. And I told myself, my goal is going to be to get out of debt and attain financial freedom for myself. So most of the things that I'm teaching other people, not just on I did all the research and the analytics and also tried it for the first time and stepped through it for the first time, but also the emotions of, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it anyways. So I teach a lot of people through my own learned experience, which has now made me a bit of an expert in what I do, but also through my own mistakes and the things not to do, because I also did some of those.
But you know that going to school is one part of learning and life experience is another part. And when you can do both, that I think makes you a much more rounded person to actually perform the job that you're going to do.
Plus, when you're in school or anywhere, when you learn something about finances, finance changes. I mean, things change a lot. You mentioned your dad. I mean, he kept it a certain way because that's what he knew. But now, if you're doing like what you're teaching everybody, they've got to stay on it. I mean, because things change and you've got to really pay attention to what you're doing.
Right. Well, that's great that you had such a pivotal moment with meeting Warren Buffett. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's very cool. So you have somebody on here, Tiffany, who is wanting to discuss with you after the show a possible bartering situation.
Let's talk, Tiff.
So she's left you information on the comments here, okay? But yeah, we've gotten a lot of good discussions here going on. Any more questions, you guys? Put them in. I'd love to read some more to Haley. We're gonna probably start wrapping this up here soon. So in case you want to ask some more questions, do it now. It would be great.
You can also post them later.
Yeah.
Tell them we'll get back to you.
I can be back in touch. You can also, if you message me on my Instagram page and just mention you watch the CC Biz, just send me a message too. If it's something that feels a little bit more personal or private to you, I'm happy to offline.
Also, we leave these videos up for a while, and so you can keep asking the questions, and Haley can answer them because she's tagged on these. And I just started a YouTube channel for Culver City Biz, so I can upload these videos onto there because Facebook is now saying they're going to start deleting them after a certain amount of time. So where YouTube, they don't get deleted, so we're going to, be uploading them over there. So
Great.
take a look over there for them, and I'm starting to do that, so be patient with me because I don't have them all done.
Another new.
I have like one or two up there now, but I'm working on it because it takes a minute for me to download it and then to upload it onto there. But and it hasn't been the easiest process, of course not, because why would it be?
Why would it be simple? Yeah, that's not fun.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But in any case, go to that and take a look. I can't go live on YouTube because I don't have enough subscribers yet. But if you want to subscribe to our YouTube and get us to that, that'll be great because that'll be another avenue where we can do
How many
this.
would you need for that now?
I think it's 50.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Sign
So
up.
go subscribe, Culver City Biz. I have one for mine. I used to do these lives from my business back in the day, and that's how we got started with these. And I have a whole bunch of them up there on Rafia Jewelry's YouTube channel. So if you wanted to go take a look at those, there's probably like 80 some videos there. Because when we started doing those, we were almost at 100, before the pandemic hit, and we had to kind of stop doing.
Those were fun. Those were really good.
Yeah, those were really fun. Those were fun because I made a drink for the guest.
We should reinstate this.
Yeah, I've been saying it for months. Yeah, it's just really good.
He doesn't even drink.
It doesn't matter. It's fun to watch.
So anyway, we had lots of great recipes, and it was really fun. It was great. So we showcased my business, my jewelry, made a drink, and then showcased a guest. So it was a lot of fun doing those. But go back and watch some of those because some of those businesses are still around, like Earl.
Yeah, look at him. He's thriving.
He's still there. So
Carolyn's
many
still
people.
doing good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Carolyn I
yeah.
interviewed. So many different people that I had interviewed before, and their business is still there, and so you can still look it up.
And you get to see them inebriated versus the normal way you would see
You get to watch. You get to see them tasting a drink.
Oh, whatever.
It's all
most of the
mocktails
drinks-
and you don't even know.
That's right, they might even be alcohol, you don't know.
I think we only had one failed drink, and that was it. Otherwise,
What
we
it
had
was?
good drinks. Yeah. What?
Do you remember what the drink was?
Yeah. It was like a michelada.
Oh,
And-
yeah, those are hard to do.
Yeah. And guess who my guests were for those? Steve and Ray.
Ah, perfect.
And they didn't like it.
Well, they're still friends though, which is great.
They're still friends. But anyway, if you are going to watch these on the reruns, you can still ask questions and we will still answer them. And again, like I said, I will be posting it onto the YouTube channel. So, any other last minute things that you would like people
Yeah, what
to
would
know?
you like to say before we go?
Yeah, what would you like them to know about you?
I think maybe just like personal finance, people getting to a point where they can move forward and actually see a financial future for themselves that's different than they are in right now is hard, but like anyone who's feeling that way from listening to this or knows someone like is not alone. Over, I want to say it's 76 or something % of Americans today are living paycheck to paycheck. Well over half the population, you know, would cite their biggest stress in life being financially related. And well over the majority as well can't afford an emergency of more than $1,000 because they're not prepared and saved for it. And those are things that, while they're commonplace, we always feel that there's some degree of isolation or shame associated with it. Those are, one, not only things that you can change, but knowing that they're common, I would almost argue you have to go out and do the different thing to get to a place that's going to be closer to where you want to be
Was
for
it
the
always
future.
like that, or did it develop over time?
You know, that's a really good question. For my lifetime, from my own, my own life stories, it's always been like that. And when I look back, I see that it's, also systemic to the resources that were given to my parents and my family, the things that they didn't have to be able to enable teaching me.
I'm thinking the same thing looking back, that's as far back as I can go. Well, to a certain extent, my grandparents, but I think it's pretty much been the same all along. So, interesting.
Yeah, no, and right now things are not the best, so,
But I want to just like leave that there's like a message of empowerment that no matter how like hard, scary, alone, all very natural things that we feel, really it is something that is changeable if you get the right support. And if you find the right support, you're going to net a much bigger change than what you're paying to spend to achieve that change.
Great.
exactly. Well, thank you, Haley, for coming on and hanging
Thanks
out
so
with
much.
us. We appreciate
Thank
it,
you all.
and we hope that you enjoyed being here. And
I very much did. Thank you
Very
guys so
knowledgeable.
much.
Very, very
Good.
knowledgeable. So.
and thank you all for watching. We appreciate it.